Atlantis Adventure is the world's only Intamin Aqua Trax. Located at Lotte World in Seoul, South Korea, this is a weird ride combining elements of water coasters, Blitz coasters, Straddle coasters, and dark rides in a one complete experience. Is this ultimately a good ride though? Or is there a reason only one of these were built? Find out in this review. Lotte World Adventure opened in 1989. This is primarily an indoor theme park, but they also have an outdoor area known as Magic Island. For years, this park's headlining roller coaster was French Revolution, an indoor Vekoma looping coaster. By the early 2000s, the park wanted a new signature coaster. They targeted a plot of land towards the back of Magic Island. They contracted Intamin to build a prototype model known as the AquaTrax. This took 3 years to construct, opening in 2003 as Atlantis Adventure. This ride looks amazing. This coaster is partially enclosed in a palace atop a rocky mountain. There is so much detail that this looks fit for a Disney park. The ornate architecture is stunning from both within the park and the surrounding area. Then the ride is captivating to watch as well. There typically are two trains cycling simultaneously, so there is always something going on. It is exciting to see the boats seemingly skim across the pond 1 second, then the next, they are shooting in and out of the palace. And this ride used to look even better. For years, the drop troughs had water jets to fill them in. From my understanding, these have not been used in quite some time to conserve water. These jets, the ride's name, and the ride's location above the water are the reasons some called this a water coaster through the years. However, it doesn't actually float at any point like a conventional water coaster, so I personally do not count it as one. Even with the water jets deactivated, the troughs still look fine with a wicker stylization, but I still wish I saw this coaster in its prime. The queue also has some awesome visuals. Much of it is adjacent to the ride's outdoor part, so you have some fantastic photo opportunities. And the smiles of riders amp you up for your ride. The entrance is this large archway with statues on both sides. The latter are these menacing animal guards wielding spears. The area also has some music that accompanies the visuals. This is a very nice touch. Then the station is a beautiful palace. The detailing is top notch. There are a series of stone columns, statues, and carvings. And the atmosphere in there is electric with the staff members pumping riders up. Just know, you may have to wait a while to experience this attraction. This ride does not have the highest throughput. Each train seats a max of just 8 riders, as they are single cars with 4 rows of 2. There are multiple vehicles on the course at least. I believe the park typically runs 4 or 5 at a time. This station is designed and staffed to load 2 vehicles simultaneously, and both are dispatched in tandem. This helps the ride consistently hit its dispatch interval. This ride's queue is usually posted at 60 to 90 minutes minimum daily. It did seem to be wildly overestimated though from my observations, but it was still long and moved slowly. What can you do to avoid the worst waits? My number one tip is to use the single rider line. This is accessed via the exit ramp. There is very little signage for it until you reach the station, so not many people know about it. This was never more than a 10-minute wait for me. There were several instances where I would disembark, get right back in the single rider line, and immediately reboard the exact same train. This allowed me to get nearly 24 rides over the span of 2+ days at the park. This method is particularly effective if you head here immediately at park opening. This can be used by solo riders or groups willing to split up. If you want to keep your party together, the best time to use the regular queue is immediately at park opening. But there's a big catch with that. You need to arrive at the park early to beat the crowds. If you visit on a busy day, you probably need to arrive an hour early to get ahead of everyone. This park can get absolutely swamped during holiday periods. This coaster is also available as part of the park's Magic Pass Skip the Line service. Atlantis is available as a one-time skip in all tiers of Magic Pass. You are routed directly to the station, often boarding the next train, so it is a major time saver. 2 very important touring notes. 1. This ride does not operate in any rain, even a light drizzle. This is ironic for a model that is literally called the AquaTrax, but this is the case with so many coasters in Eastern Asia. So if you're visiting on a day with inclement weather, prioritize this attraction when the weather is clear. 2. The line will close early, so the last cycle goes out well before park close. The ride's entrance sign will have some tentative hours posted for Atlantis, but this is merely an estimate when they think they'll close the queue. It could close even earlier if the ride's queue is backed up. In my one evening visit, this coaster closed 2.5 hours before the park did, so it is risky to save this one for the evening, unless you have Magic Pass because they'll still admit people at that. You can also check if single rider is still open. Even when standby closed for me, single rider remained open much to my shock. At the end of the queue, enough people are admitted into the station to fill 2 trains. The few people using Magic Pass are admitted first. Then comes standby queue. Seating is first come, first served. Keep in mind, there are 2 trains loading at once, so even if someone takes the seat you want on the first train, it may be available on the other one. Wherever you sit, know there is not a bad seat in this ride. You may get a little more airtime in the very back, but it is not too different force-wise than the other seats. If you're able to try it, I would recommend the front by a slim margin for that unobstructed view. The front is particularly fun because of the riding position. These are no ordinary trains. They feature a straddle style seating. I was completely shocked by this design choice, but I loved it. This position is excellent for enhancing a ride's sense of speed. You can sit back like with normal coasters, or you can grab the handlebars and lean forwards like you're on a motorbike. I always prefer to do this. Riders are then secured by seat belts and a T-bar restraint. The latter is a beefier version of the harness found in Intamin's early mega coasters. This is different than what they use in their newer straddle coasters. I think Atlantis' restraint is probably less accommodating given my experience with those T-bar restraints in other Intamin coasters, but I personally did not see many people turned away during my visits. Once seated, you can drop any of your loose articles in a wheelie bin that cast members bring alongside the train. This is an efficient system similar to the one seen in Park Asterix. Just be careful if you have a smaller item like glasses, because they could be crushed by someone's larger bag. On that note, it is worth noting this is a rare park in Asia that actually allows glasses on the thrill coasters. Once checked, staff members will excitedly clap and wave. You are then dispatched. You have a slight climb upwards onto a launch track. If you are at the front of the station, you will not stop. You will shoot forwards once the LSMs engage. If you are at the back of the station, you will pause for 30-ish seconds while you wait for the prior train to complete the first half. This launch is great. The LSMs have nice punch to them. You are accelerated from maybe 1 or 2 miles per hour to 47 miles per hour, 75 kilometers per hour in just 1.5 seconds. This is a similar rate of acceleration on paper to several of Gerstlauer's launch coasters. While it feels a bit less powerful than those Gerstlauers in terms of raw strength, the riding position compensates for it. If you're leaning forwards in that motorbike position, you will feel the ride try to rip you backwards. Then this definitely has more oomph than the tire-propelled launches I'm used to experiencing on Intamin's newer straddle coasters. This takes you inside the mountain for a surprise top hat. This is fantastic. It is S-shaped, so you get some weak laterals on the twists. But it's way more notable for the negative Gs. You get a very good ejector pop in all rows. This is particularly cool because you're in that straddle position. Coasters like that barely have any airtime, and when they do, it's not ejector. So here, it feels completely out of control. Then the descent is super steep, so it offers a little extra floater if you're in the back. It is particularly wild in the back right, where it feels like the floor drops out from underneath you. Making this moment even better are the ultra tight clearances. While it is dark inside, you can still see everything. It genuinely feels like you'll smash into the ceiling at several points, particularly in that descent, which starts inside a rocky tunnel. You briefly head outdoors for a rightward bank turn. This offers solid positive Gs and another terrifying near miss with the rock work. You then rocket indoors and the turn continues into an upwards climb. The element itself is mild, but the clearance envelope once again is tight. This brings you outdoors, briefly, for a downwards helix to the left. This exerts great G's towards the end of it, and the sense of speed is good as you zip indoors once again. This leads into a long right turn. At the end of it, you're back outside. This part is also compressed and underbanked, so you get weak laterals on the transition. This is followed by a trim that takes away some speed. This does give you an extra second to take in the views, which are lovely, as you're overlooking the park in Seoul, but don't get lost in that, as you soon navigate a large drop down to the water. It is not overly steep, so it lacks airtime. It feels like a decent drop in a log flume, as it instead offers some zip. This is followed by a tiny hump. This lightly tosses your body forwards a bit. Immediately afterwards, you have a low right-hand turn. This offers good positive Gs. And if you sit on the right side of the train and extend your arms, you can create a drenching splash. This is the one way you can actually get wet in this ride. I've seen some videos of people doing it, but I suspect you're not supposed to do this. You then have a quick S-bend above the water with okay lateral snaps. Then you have a sharp set of magnetic brakes that slow you down to a crawl, but don't worry, the ride is not over yet. You head inside the mountain for a show scene. You have some skulls and skeletons on the ground. Then more notably, there are some giant dragons off to your left. They did not move, but I appreciated their sheer scale. The end of this part really did reek though. Guessing that's a byproduct of all the water through the years, but it still doesn't really make it pleasant. Next is an LSM lift. This feels similar to the one in Maverick at Cedar Point. It is relatively quick. Once at the top, you have a slow leftward turn. This gives you some extra time to take in the sights, so I did not mind it one bit. Then, you have another large straight drop. This one is much better though. It is way steeper than the first, so it actually offers some airtime. It is okay floater in the front, and decent floater in the back. Next is a camelback through the palace. This offers a solid ejector pop, but that's not all. The element is subtly banked left, so it throws in some okay and sustained laterals throughout. And as a bonus, the indoor part has some terrifyingly tight clearances once again. This is followed by a fast and low turn with decent Gs. This too is indoors. Then there's a bunny hill. The clearance envelope here is shockingly minimal, so it really feels like you'll lose your head, especially since you're levitating out of your seat at this point. The front seat is a weak pop of airtime at first, before a second pop coming down offering semi-sustained floater. In the rear rows, you go straight to that more sustained floater airtime. You then find yourself outside, turning ever so slightly right, getting a weak lateral kink. Then you hit the brakes. You slowly return to the station, ending the 2,198 foot or 670 meter long coaster. That's not a lot of track length, but I thought the ride had plenty of coaster elements, and the overall duration feels satisfactory due to that dark ride portion in the middle. In terms of pacing, this coaster is pretty good overall. I absolutely love the start and the entire second half. The middle of the first half lets its foot off the gas a bit though, and you do have the extended pause in between the first and second halves, but that part is at least engaging with the statues being present. I just wish the order of the ride was reversed. I wish this ride put the second half at the start. That way, you have the launch midway through the ride to keep the tempo going. This would be similar to what the aforementioned Maverick does. In terms of smoothness, this ride is great. It tracks very smoothly, even after 20 plus years of nearly year-round operation. There are a few points where your body is thrown left or right, but that seems to be an intentional decision because the tracking is fine. What would I rate Atlantis Adventure? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. This is a really cool experience. It is pure fun. It dabbles in a bit of everything. You have a sneaky strong launch at the start. There are a few wild airtime moments due to that straddle style seating position, and several turns offer a mix of speed and positive Gs. The ride itself is probably an 8, but the visuals elevate an extra point. These really help the ride in between the theming and head choppers. This ride has been a real crowd pleaser through the years, but why was one only built? I think there are 3 reasons. 1, the model does not have the highest throughput due to the small vehicles. 2, the price tag. Atlantis Adventure cost a staggering 35 billion won, or 24.5 million US dollars. Keep in mind, those prices were in the early 2000s. If the same ride were to be built today, it would be 80% more expensive with inflation. It is unclear if that cost is just for the ride hardware or for the theming as well. I suspect the latter, but it has never been fully clarified. 3, and most importantly, this ride model is spun off into 2 different models by Intamin. The AquaTrax was notable for its small vehicles maneuvering tight, rapid-fire elements. Sound familiar? It should, because that concept is what Intamin turned into the Blitz coaster. This took the intensity of Atlantis' start and translated it to a full layout. Then the unique motorbike-style seating was carried over to the Straddle coaster. This coaster takes the low turns and helixes of Atlantis and translates that to a full layout, more like a family thrill coaster. Both the Blitz and Straddle models have become highly popular for Intamin, so while they only built one AquaTrax, Intamin took that ride's spirit into models that are still being produced today. Those are my thoughts on Atlantis Adventure at Lotte World. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.